Jon?
Good afternoon. Thank you to the Central New York Business Journal. And as you are calibrating to the velocity of my speech, you're thinking to yourself, we're going to be here a while. Well, we'd like to thank all of the sponsors and everyone that's put in the effort and made this day happen. I know we don't know the names behind the scenes, but thank you very much. And, however, we are at Blue Rock very proud of one in particular individual, and Mike Young. And so, obviously, I'm going to speak about him. And this is about his day, because the hours that you guys all put in, and especially to my knowledge, of course, Mike, weekends and holidays, after hours, in an email world, in a text world, in a Twitter world, it just never ends. Well, the leadership that Mike provides Blue Rock, I could not possibly do it justice today, but you guys understand what it takes, and all the previous presenters have done a wonderful job articulating that. It's really important to know that the success of a company just is not possible without folks like Mike, and we rarely get an opportunity to say thank you. So thank you for the opportunity. I will keep it short as I can, but to give you this, again, this day is not about Blue Rock. However, Mike's played an integral role in Blue Rock's success. To name a few things, we're an electricity and natural gas service and solution provider throughout the state of New York in all utilities. And what's interesting about electricity and accounting, electricity is vitally important to everything we do every day. We wouldn't be here having this function, obviously. What's really neat about it from an accounting standpoint is electricity is generated and consumed simultaneously. That makes for a very interesting supply chain management challenge. So the work that he does in that area can't be understated. However, as it's been mentioned before, in order to achieve all these honors that the company has had, for instance, been named one of the fastest growing companies by Fortune magazine, Fortune 5000, privately owned companies, and also been named one of the best places to work. Mike Young's played an integral role in that, and it could not have been achieved without his help. What he does on a day-to-day basis, as it was mentioned, has gotten incredibly complex. An executive officer today has to manage financials, budgeting, credit, accounting, corporate strategy, business development, partnerships, reports, presentations, treasury, relationships with banks, financial partners, vendors, boards of directors, shareholders, executive management, and employees, and try to get me to understand debits and credits. So that is not an easy job. So again, we'd like to take this opportunity that's presented to stress how important it is that all of you do. We are particularly proud of Mike Young. And as I was coming over here, I think about the future. And how do you manage the future? Well, it reminded me of two buddies of mine in South Louisiana, Boudreaux and Thibodeau, who took a hunting trip to Canada to go moose hunting. So they arrive in their plane up there in a private area in the middle of nowhere, and they bag 6 moose. It's a small plane, so they drag the moose back and put them in the plane, and the pilot explains to Boudreaux and Thibodeau, the plane can't carry 6 moose. Well, Thibodeau's having none of it, and explains in no uncertain terms to the pilot that we bagged 6 moose last year, and the pilot let us go. And they worked that out, so they put the 6 moose on the plane, they took off. Directly, they crashed. They all survived and got out of the plane, and Boudreaux looked at Thibodeau and said, "Where do you think we are?" And Thibodeau said, "Well, I think we're somewhere close to where we crashed last year." John, what's your point? On the surface, managing success is not necessarily that easy. So, thank you, Mike, and thank you to all of our sponsors. Central New York Business Journal, Mike.
From Thibodeau and Moose, we move on to our next category. These would be corporations with more than $200 million in annual revenue. This year, our honoree is from Fina, USA, which is a Portuguese-owned company. The USA version is run